What do you think? They suck. He's one of the worst coaches ever. What do you say, Ash? He didn't won a big game yet. I mean, here's a statistic for you. He's had the lead 71% of the time against Alabama and has yet to beat him. You say, guitar boy. So what do I know? I'm just saying. Okay, I'm on Alabama. I was on Alabama the first time. I'm on Alabama this time, and if they win. If they beat me, they beat me. Okay. Who's that? You'll take Kirby as your coach? No. What can I tell you? Yep. Well, this morning during live trading, I said that I would be not surprised if we got a bounce. In fact, I did say in the bond specifically, okay, that I thought that this was a nice little bit of bottoming pattern right here. You'll see it marked in. There it is. Okay. And look what happened. Look at the movie again. So, but I mean, look, listen, it's, you knew, or you know that there's a bounce coming. Okay. You know that they're not going to be, go straight down. It's like they didn't go, even though you feel like they went straight up, they still had sell-offs in between. So, hey, the markets are the markets. There ain't no free lunch, right? Here we are. I mean, the dollar's like it's breaking down. We're still long it, but I look, I'm not as also, I may be surprised by the depth of the rally, okay, and where it came from, but I'm not surprised that it found the spot to give you a rip your face off job, okay. I think Connie will be here. She's here. In USA, the stock market must be pumped up. In the UK, the government will do anything to keep the property market inflated. Well, I think it's pumped up on money, the money supply. And, I think that, and I think that, you have to, just understand that that's part of it. Okay. You get the Fed, which are they out of bullets? There's a lot to be said. Well, I don't know. I don't think so. We'll see. Look, we'll see how it plays out. We've seen this movie before on multiple occasions. Okay. This ain't the first go around with what we've seen from the Federal Reserve. And so far, they've screwed it up every single time. So is this going to be the same or is it going to be different? Well, I don't know. I don't think it's ever different. I think they'll do the same as they always do. Okay. They'll butcher it up and they'll beat them down. Okay. Again, this is when you get into the complacency side of markets. Okay. And again, I'm not saying anything. You know me, I trade either I use one pattern when I'm day trading, I use the algorithms when I'm not day trading. So it'll be what it'll be, and I'll be ready for it all. And in the meantime, we had another good day trading today. So that can't be bad. As we say, it is what it is. Okay. But I don't put any stock in anybody or any organization, especially one as dumb as the Fed. Okay. And not that they can't prop it up for a long time, but again, you gotta wonder, okay, all their propping, okay, what did it really do? Or what does it really do? Yeah. Look, I said that the other day. I asked the question, you can see the arrow right there. I said, what would you think from here? Now it did break way down, okay, and then it popped. But that was the right idea and the right type of trade from where we were. Now, where would we go from here? I would think that there's going to be. I think this is a selling opportunity. Okay, that's just, again, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying that's the way that I look at it. Okay, as I think that we're changing trend. I think we're going lower. Okay, but again, I can be convinced to go the other way too. You know, I'm never going to be that stubborn where I'm going to say, well, it can only go this way. Okay, because I know better. You know, I've fought the law, and the law has always won. Okay, so I'm not telling you anything that I hope you don't already know. That basically where we are right now and where we are in all these patterns, I would think you are looking to sell rallies. What percentage do you use for each trade? I don't. It's so variable. It's almost an impossible question for me to answer. But because I carry 100 positions every day. Okay, and I have a hedging portfolio. I don't really have an answer for you, but if you can try to be more specific, like if I'm day trading or, you know, that type of, I mean, again, I think you have to be a little more specific for me, because it's really too hard for me to answer because I do so many different things, you know, between hedging. Like, for example, my IWM rolled down today. Okay, when it got, put me in the 212, 210. Okay, and of course, IWM came back and closed at 215. Well, I mean, my first recommendation to everybody is always hedge first if you have a portfolio. That's always my first recommendation of anything I do. A day trade, well, now you have to determine, you know, what are you going to day trade? I don't day trade stocks. I don't day trade options. I day trade futures only because they're the cleanest market. Okay. We're still on the ES, yes. We're still on the ES, we're still on the Dow, which are the two safety indexes. So I only day trade futures because of the cleanest, purest markets. Okay. You know, I don't want to deal with implied volatility and options. I don't want to deal with, you know, the big bid offer spreads. If I'm going to day trade, I'm going to day trade futures. Okay. And you can, yep, IWM, yep, I got them all. But you can, I would say this, it really depends on your personal preference. You know, what are you trading and what are you comfortable with without over leveraging yourself out of business? Okay. You know, so, you know, if you're trading, you know, like here's what we're doing. We're day trading, right? This is what we're watching every day. Okay. This market right here, every morning we trade from 9:45 till about 10:15. Actually, I usually start about 9:30, but till about 10:20 or 10:15. Okay, and this is what we're watching. So you have to establish your comfort level. Okay, you know how are you trading? Are you trading for a living? Are you trading for fun? You know, there's a lot of factors that play into that, but you know, I would think, you know, if you're using a good broker that gives you day trading margins, you know, I think that even in a $5,000 account, if you're comfortable, you can trade the full size of the contract. Now, remember, the full size contract, this contract's worth 180,000. Okay, but again, you're only in it we're assigning the risk the minute we put the trade on. So our typical risk is about 30 ticks. About $150 plus, you know, plus or minus, not never minus, plus wherever it goes, because we're going to use the high or the low as our basis. Okay. So that would be, you know, so it really comes back down to your personal issue. If you can follow directions and you can follow risk and you're comfortable, then the size does not matter as long as it's not over leveraged. You can't have one trade take you out. But because you do get day trading margin, and I already know my risk on any given trade is $150 to $200, then I can gauge against what I'm trying to do. Okay. In the meantime, nice start, 5-0. I shouldn't be opening my mouth. But, you know, it's it's a method and it's a model that you can use comfortably. Okay. And again, you always know what your risk is. So you have to determine your comfort level from that risk. Okay. That's what it really comes down to. You have to figure out where are you comfortable, and because if dollars start to affect you, then you're in trouble. Okay. If the amount of dollars you're trading, and that's really more that you have to engage with. Euro US dollar trading a tighter range so far. I've been shorting from 137, 113.70. Okay. That's right. You know, I don't know. I don't know how tight a range it is. I mean, today's range was $500. I mean, well, today's actual range was over $1,000 range on a contract. So I don't know. That's not so tight. Hold on a second. Oh, Andy's here. What's up, brother? You here?
Hey, how are you?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Not much. Everything's good. How are you?
So what did you take away from today's action?
Pretty bearish. I mean, we crawled back at the end, but you know, it's just kind of lack of excitement beginning of the year, tax hikes, higher interest rates. You know, nothing earth-shattering really. It's kind of a nothing day from my perspective.
I don't know. I mean, the Nasdaq rallied 500 points from the bottom. I wouldn't call that nothing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, I look at the deltas, the changes didn't really change much.
Right.
No, I mean, they came out selling, you know, that was kind of expected after last week's price action. Bonds made a new low. They popped a little bit.
And they popped hard. In fact, I was right before you got here, I was showing everybody when we were day trading this morning. And I said that I thought that the bonds would probably get a bounce because of how much selling they've been under, pressure they've been under. And I said it right out of this pattern right here. Okay, right there. I already had it still marked in from this morning. Okay, that's when we were trading live this morning. And of course, it did pop. I also said that,
you know, but we are slowly working our way down to a test of that March 2021 low. You had a resignation at the Fed. You're going to get some new Fed members. They will be dovish. So, you know, I guess
they will be dovish. Are you guaranteeing that they'll be dovish? I mean,
I would imagine they'll. Well, if Biden appoints them, I think they'll be dovish.
I mean, you know, but Biden reappointed Powell, which was not dovish, right?
Well,
I mean, he may be dovish, but he's not what they wanted, right?
No, he's not what they wanted. He's not what the progressives wanted. But I think that the new FOMC appointees will be more progressive and push more green energy and equity and that kind of stuff. So, you know, that's probably what we're going to see. So, you know, I also think the resignation of the number 2 guy at the Fed kind of might have made them bounce a little bit. So we'll see. You know, the stock market.
Who resigned?
Stock market feels pressured. Okay, came back. Listen, every dip's been a buy for how long, brother?
No, I'm not saying listen, I said before you got here, I'd be looking for an opportunity to sell this.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Who resigned? I don't even know. How's it?
I forget his name, but he's the number 2 guy. The guy who was caught up in that.
The stock scandal.
Yeah. He had resigned, but he accelerated. Like
I think it's Rosengren or whatever his name is.
It wasn't Rosengren.
Okay, I don't know.
Look it up. Whoever it was. I mean, it's another appointment that's coming down the pike, and now we're going to get these whatchamacallits. We're going to get the hearings on the new nominations, and you know,
will they be done? Will they be done? Will they be done by
Richard Clarita,
the election?
Will they be done by the election? That's a good question.
You know, these guys don't exactly, you know, this is obviously a pretty major battle, right?
You'll have a committee of 2. You'll have
Marco Caraval, whatever the hell is it,
Clarita.
Okay. He resigned. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not surprised. I mean, I said this morning, I thought we could see a little bit of a bounce. And we did. Now, again, it was obviously a pretty big bounce when you look at the NASDAQ. I mean, the NASDAQ was down under 15.2, closed at 15.6. That's a pretty good rally. But, and everything was down. I mean, the Dow was down. The Dow rallied back almost 500 as well. But, again, you're going to expect these kind of movements in these markets. This is not something that is unusual. I mean, it happens almost on a regular basis. You're going to get these rip your face off rallies often. When you get
in bear markets, the rallies tend to be brutal.
I mean, as I've said many times, the biggest rallies come in bear markets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean that's just everybody gets the same idea. I mean, if you looked at the VIX this morning, the VIX was up. The VIX was up about 5 points, I think, at one point or more.
It was up at 23, over 23, and
and
it was below 20 at the end.
So those are pretty. Listen, nothing is 100%. Nothing is automatic, but those are pretty good guidelines that you can look at and have a pretty good understanding that what they're doing and expect certain things to happen. And I would suggest, I would love to see this follow through overnight. Okay. That would be, to me, that would be like heaven to have it follow through overnight, because then it'd be a better chance to sell it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I definitely agree with that.
But we'll see. So anything exciting? Any bitches today from you, my brother?
No, nothing terribly bitchy.
Nothing.
A lot of markets are trading around pivot points here. That's kind of my observation. You got gold sitting at 1800. You got the dollar index sitting at 96. You got, things feel fairly directionless, and I know we had a big rally in the stock market at the end.
No, I get you. I know what you're saying. Listen,
it feels like we're drifting around and we're waiting, and the political environment remains the same. I mean, if you want me to bitch, I could bitch about New York City. I can't believe what that new DA said over the weekend.
What they say?
He said that he's not prosecuting, shoplifting, and he'll prosecute murder, but other than that, they're really not going to prosecute any crime.
Isn't that wonderful?
Typical. And then the guy who's already the police commissioner, the DA, and the new mayor, they're kind of at odds, because you got an ex-police captain who's running the city now. He wants to make the quality of life better, and he's already facing internal pushback from his own party. So I mean, it's the same as we've seen everywhere. You see it in Chicago, you see it in Los Angeles, you see it in all the big cities.
Right. So, I'm surprised that the new mayor is standing for it. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the crime statistics are.
I mean, they do it in Chicago. Listen, I told you, I'm going to start stealing $900 a day. I'm going to steal from 9 different stores, and I'll take my 8,100.
They'll prosecute.
Yeah, naturally. What do you think will happen if the currency flows from Europe are stopped? Well, I'm not quite sure exactly what you're asking, but the fiat currency system itself is as much of a piece of crap as there is, and all they do everywhere, and every central bank around the globe, is to devalue your currency. So those flows are not really flows. Those flows are a form of trying to cover up inflation, trying to cover up everything else. What do you think, sir?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the central banks are, just manipulating the hell out of the currencies to keep them steady. But, when you measure the currencies against asset prices, real estate, and, food and all that kind of stuff, a totally different picture emerges. I will tell you this. I think that this move in cryptos is short term. And listen, I don't try to pick bottoms. I don't try to pick tops, but I think that we're closer to bottom in crypto than we are. I don't think these things are going to zero.
Oh, I agree. Listen, what we talked about. I'm a fan. Okay. I'm a fan of the crypto space. I think that it's real. I think it's here to stay, and it is I call it the currency of the libertarian. Okay, so at the end of the day, I think we just have to, look, it's a very volatile commodity, which is basically what it is, and it trades actively, and of course,
absolutely. So the big question here for me is, while I think that Georgia is a better team, do you bet against Nick Saban?
I don't bet against Tom Brady. I don't bet against Nick Saban.
Exactly. No, I know. It's going to be, I think it'll be a good game. Although last night's game would be hard to beat.
Money may start to leave Europe in a big way. Political. That's why it could be. Look, again, they do the central banking system, which I hate to begin with. Okay, is a bunch of criminals, and they continue to devalue currency throughout the globe, and they're kind of in cahoots when it comes to the currency markets.
Oh, they are. I mean, Yellen and Lagarde and all these, Treasury secretaries, they definitely team up, and in the interest of stability, but it's really in the interest of control.
Right. It's listen, is what the Fed was designed off of. And again, I urge you to read The Creature from Jekyll Island if anybody wants to get what I believe to be the correct analogy of what the Fed does. Super Bowl winner at Dallas. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Okay. I do have a parlay though that Tampa and Kansas City will meet in the Super Bowl, but I wouldn't. I'm gonna bet that private. Don't worry, I'm on it. Okay. So
when they're on, they're on. When the Cowboys are on, they're on. But when they're off, they're off.
Listen. I don't know. Their defense is much better this year, but they. Listen, Green Bay is going to be the key. I mean, you're going to be, depending on the weather, you got the best quarterback, and I don't particularly care for him, but he's still the best quarterback.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Other than Brady, of course, who, knows.
Yeah, but I mean, Rodgers listen, that's the difference between Brady and Rodgers.
Brady did so. Brady got his boy his bonus yesterday.
Yeah. Listen, he wasn't coming out until he got it for him either.
Right. Yeah.
That's his style. He did it for Antonio Brown last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. Okay. On the vaccine mandate. Okay. I got another part later, but part one is, do you think that the vaccines are more for money now, or do you think that they're really needed? In other words, in Africa, they got no vaccinations because they got no money. Okay. But here they keep coming out with a new reason that you need another booster. And I think there's a number 4 coming on its way. So is it about the money, or is it real? Does the variant and whatever they say really exist?
I think it's for fear. I think it's fear. I think, just make everyone scared, and it's easy to control people. And, when it comes down to the vaccines, look, I'm no scientist, so I don't know. I got the vaccine. I mean, I got sick as hell after the second one, but
you got the booster too, right?
Yeah, I got J&J, so I got.
Right. But I got 3 shots, right? But I never got sick. But I mean,
but I only got 2 because it's a one and done, and then the booster from that one.
Right.
But I think there is money involved, a lot of money involved, but I think it's control, and I think it's control of the media, and it's control of the psyche. And we already know that this Omicron is like a cold. A lot of people have gotten it. People aren't dying from it. And, it's a real good question, because I don't think that anyone knows, including the scientists. The question is, are we going to have are we going from pandemic to endemic? Is each new variant going to be milder and milder? It seems to be going that way, because the initial was brutal. The Delta was a little less brutal. The Omicron is a lot less brutal, and now they're talking about another one. And so it seems to be the trend is your friend, and the trend seems to be milder and milder. But the government control, they want to keep the control. Listen, it behooves them to keep control until the midterm elections here.
No, I got. I mean, again, I don't. I think it was. I think it's more about money, which is what I said. You say control, money, and control, which is the same. Okay, and look, the pharmaceuticals, they're pumping it up. Okay, so that they can make more money later. Okay, so yeah, what I don't. But whatever, it's certainly there's certainly a lot of things going on, and certainly not a lot that's all too good.
I
I
think
mean,
when history looks back at it, they will classify it as a biological weapon.
that's what I thought it was from the beginning. That was my first words out of my mouth when I said it came from China.
Yeah.
But who knows? In the meantime, obviously the unions are Chicago teachers. I think they're still not back in school. They're still striking.
Oh, day four, and they're at war with Lightfoot. So that's a mess. I mean, kids belong in school, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, when you get the unions involved, listen, it's money, baby. And these pension funds are going to have a problem because a lot of them, I mean, I know for a fact that the Illinois teachers pension has not been funded since 1999. Okay. They just been banking on the fact that the market keeps going up and that inflation keeps taking over. So we'll see. In the meantime, young man, so you mentioned earlier the dollar's hovering around 96. Now, at the end of the day, we're still, or not still, but we're short dollars here. Certainly you can see a potential trend, but I don't think we violated the range we gave last week, which is 95.50, 96.50.
No, it's a dead market right now, and it's very managed, and it's hovering, and yeah, we'll eventually move, but this can continue for quite some time.
So I think that this is not a product that I would be actively trading anyway. We carry it in our portfolio, but it's not one I would actively trade.
No, it's like watching paint dry.
There ain't enough money in it to trade it. Okay. But I think it's still 95.50 to 96.50. And of course,
but I will say we are consolidating and sitting very close to the top of the range.
Right. Well, I mean, I think there is some fear. I think you and I agree that's we agree. I think that the money runs to bonds, but to dollars, because that's where a lot of countries go to put their dough when they get nervous.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the euro currency, which we're now long, but euro currency, obviously it's a mirror image because it's whatever percent of 56 something, whatever he tells me. I never remember, but
close. You're close.
You're right. I just, as long as I'm close, but again, it's the mirror image. And, look, I don't know. Listen, I think this is my personal opinion is this is going below $1, below par. Okay. It's going back to the 88-cent level where it was in, I think, was a 2004. Okay. But in the meantime, we're long, and right now it's still probably 112.75 to 114 or so.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, again, remember, it doesn't sound like much of a room, but you can get penny moves here more often than you think. And a penny move in the euro currency on a full contract is $1,250. Okay?
Yeah, that's why it's a much better trading sardine than the dollar index.
And so, right, exactly. This is much more. We trade this every day, okay, because it is much more active and it does move and it's got a nice tick size and it's got micros and all kinds of stuff that go with it. Okay, but we're still long. And Bitcoin, which is 40,000, going to be the low. I don't know. I listen. There's another Bitcoin out, which is not another, but it's just another with the name Bitcoin Lanthium, I think it's called. That went to everybody's all so excited. I think they have it on here. Let me see if they have it on here. Let me see if they have it on here. I'm gonna tell you the story if they have it. I don't remember. Let's see. Crypto. Yeah. Okay. And that's I think it's LTNM. Is that right? No. Okay. Or maybe it's LTM. Okay. No. Okay. I don't know. Bitcoin Latinum or whatever else it's called. Okay. But in the meantime, they're all excited. It was $240. Okay. And suddenly it's about 22 now. And I go, well, probably now is probably the time that I want to step in. Okay. And look, I'm not telling you to run out and buy a $40,000, Bitcoin, but I do believe in the space. And I think that if you stick to, as Andy has said in the past, ones that have, a solid market value, market cap. Okay. I think you'll find yourself a lot happier over time, because, it's a market that, I think we both agree that it's real.
Oh yeah. Did you read about the guy who is using his Tesla to mine Bitcoin, his Tesla battery?
I did not know.
Mining $800 worth of Bitcoin a week with his Tesla. Wow. Sounds like a good trade to me.
Well, and that, that's, of course, what we're looking at. But again, I'd watch the 40,000, maybe 38. That would be, something to watch. Again, if you trade it, and I'm not telling you to run out and trade it, I will tell you what I always tell you. Okay. If I lost it all tomorrow, my entire crypto investment, I would not lose 1 minute worth of sleep. Okay. I don't have that much into it. I've got a couple of shots that I'm taking, looking for the home runs, but at the end of the day, I got nothing. I got nothing to, that I'm gonna. I don't buy things or get involved in things, especially things like this, that I would lose sleep if I bought too much.
Right. That's exactly the right way to approach this thing. And look, as far as picking a bottom in this thing, that would be crazy. Listen, as long as Bitcoin stays above 28,000 roughly, it'll be above last year's low. Anything can happen in this thing. Anything,
We're not long gold for you asking. We're short gold. We're short gold, silver. We would be short platinum. Okay. I got Cardano. Yeah, AD, I got that too. I got a bunch, but I got a bunch.
Cardano and Solana are the ones that I kind of like.
I got a bunch of home run hitters, and I have a little bit of Bitcoin and some Ethereum. Okay. In the meantime, again, I would never risk more than I could afford. It's just like going out and going to the groceries, going to the mall and buying something. If you're going to use your credit card, don't spend more than you can pay in the next month. Okay. Felix predicts Bitcoin low 30,000. Okay. Well, I predict, I don't know. How's that? Exactly. I don't make predictions. Okay. To me,
right now, if you're trading trends, you got to be short.
Right. We are short Bitcoin. Okay. And I'm not looking to, listen, a lot of these big experts over the years have made big calls. Joe Granville still living off one call he made in his entire life. And so is Elaine Gazzarella. So
that's right. That's exactly right. And, if you make 20 calls in 20 years, the odds favor that you get one line right. And then, you get a lot of press and you live off that.
Right. In the meantime, cocoa, which we reversed this morning to the long side, it's been very choppy. Okay.
Very
Again,
choppy.
We're never happy in this pattern. Okay. This is never a fruitful pattern for us. Okay.
Over the last year or so, the worst performing soft commodity.
Right.
If you look back, to over the last 20 years, it's definitely trending higher. It's
right.
Inflation should affect it. When cocoa does break, it's going to break and it'll move like nobody's business. But
they'll do it before you get up because it trades in the middle of the night.
Right. But right now, it's it's sitting there in a range. It's nothing.
Anyway, somebody asked me one time to give levels. You don't have to put these down, but I'm just going to put them out. 2440 support, 2560 resistance. Okay. Crude. Another fairly wild day in the crude markets, but look, we're going higher. Okay. I don't know how much
we probed over $80 last week.
Right.
Remember at the beginning of December, we were below $63. So right. We've made a nice comeback. Markets don't go in a straight line. I looked at the action today and I saw heating oil futures were actually up with crude down. The gasoline was down, but that's a seasonal issue. This thing looks good.
Listen, I have no doubt in my mind that this is going back to 100, if not higher. Okay. And again, I will trade whatever the trend is. We're long. We've been long for quite a while, but I'm just saying that, everything favors much higher prices. And every time they try to whack it, they take it back up. Okay. And, look, you had that big down day, which actually was we reversed on the first time, but we were long all the way from the beginning here. And a lousy energy policy, a lousy supply chain, everything that's going on in this country only says that oil prices are going a lot higher.
And
now, could
the
that
risk
change?
of a spike now is on the upside because, with this U.S.-Russian conference going on over Ukraine and all kinds of issues, if that ends ugly, crude oil will go higher.
Right. I don't disagree with you whatsoever.
I think crude oil will go higher no matter how it ends, but what I'm saying is the risk of a spike now is probably on the upside.
Right. I mean, I think we're going to continue, and God knows they'll find another reason for a shortage. Who knows what's going to happen? Okay. In the meantime, again, 77 to 80. Okay. But I'm not a seller. Okay. And like I said, I'll sell it in a day trade. I think we bought it and sold it today as a day trade. But, as a position, to me, this is going higher. I'd love to be a buyer at 77. Okay. Cotton, Charlie Tango. Oh, I gave levels. Looking good. Cotton continues to work its way back higher. And again, look what happened. We talked about this, that tight little range. We said there's a much bigger move coming, and all of a sudden, it's moved up $10, $10 is, if you, from a trader standpoint, move up 10 points.
10%. Good move.
Okay. And it looks like it wants to go higher. Okay. It is all it's really doing now is pausing right where you might have expected it to slow down. Okay. But if I'm looking at this, I'm saying I want to buy this at 114. I think there's some probably resistance at 118. But certainly it looks like it's prepared to try to make a run at the 122.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're also coming into the season where cotton tends to do the best.
Now, for us who, remember, the retailers only use these prices to raise their prices because the percentage of cotton using a pair of blue jeans is about less than 1%. Okay. But anyway, 114 to 118 in cotton. Gold, which we are still short. Okay. Again, my title this morning for Kitco article was the fight for 1800. Well, here we are. We're right 1801. Okay, after the close. I think we closed dead on at 1800 at the actual close. And again, it looks pretty pathetic. It looks like it wants to work its way lower. Okay, but it is starting to maybe, make a move, which means all that really means there is that a much bigger move is coming. And what do you think of your 1450 level? Is that in play? I know that's your number.
I don't think so. Not with inflation where it is. I know that's my real long-term key support level. No, I don't think so. I mean,
okay.
I think if anything, I think gold probably will hold a 1670 level, which was last year's low. This year. That's kind of my feeling. Look, gold had a year of consolidation and correction. 1800's been a pivot point now for over 6 months. It's like watching paint dry. This gold.
It's gone right. It's gone nowhere.
Right. Every time it goes below, it's like a magnet that pulls it back, and every time it goes up, there's a magnet that pulls it down.
And the range was so tight last year as well.
Yeah.
That like silver. Okay, but again, so I mean, gold. I'm going to just say 1780 to 1820.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Feeder cattle, they look pretty bad right now. Now we're still long, but they look pretty bad right now. Now, again, does that mean that they can't go up? I mean, this would be the area where you might have thought they would stop. Okay, so 160. If you're a trader in this thing, you're looking at it. I'd be looking at this from 160 to 164. Okay. Again, we're long, so at the end of the day, it is what it is.
I will say this, the animal protein producers, they're looking at much higher feed costs. They're looking at higher energy costs, and they need higher cattle prices to break even. So
shit. They need, that's right. They need prices.
That doesn't mean it can't spike lower short term, but eventually I think we're going to go to higher highs.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I just, again, I think the big decision, this is what I say on RFD all the time. The real big decision here is because of the obviously high inflation, which doesn't count food and energy. Okay. But, at some point, if somebody got to make a decision between eating or having a steak, they're going to eat, right? They're going to buy something less. And that could be the only thing that causes any real pressure, in my opinion, from here. Okay.
That's true. That's true.
And we'll see. I mean, hogs, listen, we're still long. They're just kind of, again, like everything else. Now it's interesting, Andy. February hogs, which is what we're looking at there, are lower than normal when December was so much higher the whole time.
Yeah.
What do you take from that?
Yeah, I think that might be some issues with the processing. Interesting enough, our brilliant president, he took off at the meatpacking industry last week, and I was thinking about whether that might have impacted futures prices, because we know that the meats trade in a club. Right. Trades the meats. And I was saying to myself, when I was watching the prices come off late last week, early today, I was saying, I wonder if the club is pushing the prices down to take the pressure off.
Feeder cow supplies are shrinking due to the Western drought. Okay. There's a farmer telling you. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't explain why the price went down.
No.
I get it. And I buy that. That's definitely true. But wouldn't it make sense that if the cartel, the meat cartel said, hey, let's put the prices a little bit lower. This way he'll look at something else,
100%.
Let them bother the grain farmers.
I got you.
Yeah.
And hogs, 78 support. I mean, obviously they came right down there today. And I would probably be looking at 82 as some resistance right now. Okay. Connie, you don't need to write all these down. This is just
we're going to see a lot more action and bigger price swings once we get, closer to spring. January is still, this is the way off.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a quiet. The first part of the year, the first part of January is more based and centered on equities, anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And copper, which has been another thorn in my, what? Okay, it continues to battle, throughout these different levels. We're long it right now, and right now it's really just sucking up, sitting in this crappy consolidation. Okay, now it's it's also kind of mid range, right? Like 450 as between 4 and 5, but it's really been, and when it's good, it's been great. But there's been enough times where this rotten, these congestion swings. Now this is not wide enough, so it hasn't been, other than changing your P&L every day. It has not triggered anything negative.
We've also, you mentioned it last week. We've been swinging in like 10-cent ranges.
Right. That's
a big number on a copper contract. 25,000 pounds, 10 cents.
I'm telling you,
$500.
It's been swinging like a maniac. Anyways,
ain't no minis in copper.
432 to 447 would be the levels I'd be watching. I mean, we're long, so I mean, and to me, I'm long. If I wanted to add, I'd be looking to add down here. Yeah. Okay. Now, and again, this is not horrible either. This high or low, but again, if I were looking to trade it and I'd add down here, but I'm not.
I'm not sure which direction, but I will tell you this: it feels like the 20-cent day move in a day is coming. I don't know which way it'll go. It depends on a lot of other things. But, if the stock market all of a sudden, whooshes to the downside, you could see copper back at, $4.10, $4.
No, in fact, I asked you the question last week. I said, what do you think, 4 or 5? And you actually said you thought 4 would probably come first, but 5 is definitely coming. Yeah. New highs are coming.
If you don't like stocks, copper is pretty correlated with the stock market.
Right. Don't American voters ask how these career politicians have become? Well, of course, nobody asked.
They ask, but no one answers.
No, but
by the way, Pelosi did answer. She said, it's a free market. We have every right to participate. And by the way, it's a free market. Unless, if you're Pelosi, but not if you're not Pelosi.
Right. Listen, we've got, again, we go back to the tax the rich. Well, as I say all the time, change the tax code, you want to have the problem. Okay.
Flat tax.
Okay, whatever. But I mean, change the tax code. Okay. And then you won't have the problem. But again, then the bitch about coffee. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I said 15% flat tax, solve everything.
Listen, I can go for that.
Close the IRS. How much will you save a year?
Just like the same amount we would save if we would close the post offices that are antiquities.
Yeah.
I mean, in my home in Chicago, there's 5 post offices within a 2-mile radius of my house. Okay. Well, like we need that. We need that like we need a new suppository. In the meantime, coffee we're short. Big spike up on Friday, right up to resistance there. 239, 225 in coffee.
Another freak show, another very expensive contract to trade, 37,500 pounds.
Another drug cartel.
Yeah, absolutely. But the bottom line is that the Brazilian supply is all weak.
What's going on in Brazil these days?
Well, that frost killed the coffee crop. And that's why we have prices sitting where they are. Nothing really is going on with the Brazilian currency. It's just sitting and floating. What's going on there is this is an election year. And if Brazil goes the way Chile went, you'll have a socialist government there. And then, all bets are off. You could have crazy volatile swings. Because, then you're going to have nationalization. You're going to have higher labor costs. You're going to have all kinds of problems. But coffee's supported by the fact that there's not a lot of supplies.
And there's being supported by the fact that Starbucks wants to unionize.
Well,
let me ask you a question. Right while we're talking, I mentioned it. Now, my contention is that unions, when they were first developed, were very much needed until now, when all the mobsters get all the money out, and it doesn't help the workers, it doesn't help the employer. Okay, and all this tenure crap, all this crap that goes along with it, just like minimum wage, when it was first developed, was meant for women and children to stop slave labor. Okay, what are your thoughts?
Well, you're absolutely right. Yeah, when unions came in, around the time when people were coming through Ellis Island, they were there to protect workers and protect them from, the robber barons of the late 1800s, early 1900s. And now, the unions are in business to collect union dues, and the hierarchy in the unions make a lot of money. They make a lot of political contributions, and they've embraced the progressives. And, look, the unions have always been the hotbed of socialism in this country. If you go back to the 50s and, those years, that's where a lot of the Communist Party members were in the unions.
Let's ask Jimmy Hoffa.
Right. Well, the bottom line, to answer your question, is, unions exist for the benefit of the unions. And that's my problem with the unions.
I agree.
They don't really help the workers.
I agree.
Purport to help the workers, just like, a lot of people in Washington, D.C. purport to help the working citizens. And that's not true. It's just not true.
No, it's not true. As Elon Musk said, they're takers, not makers. And
right.
Of course, the simplest way to look at that is that they took a raise during COVID. They don't have Obamacare. They have their own private health care. So, but anyways, we don't want to get into that right now. In the meantime, lumber, look at this. I mean, from when Andy called the bottom around 400 or 500 in this area here, I mean, here it is. And of course, now, is it going to threaten? This would be, we don't trade this. This is impossible to trade as a trader. It's impossible to be involved in. It's the thinnest contract. It's horrible. But in the meantime, I'm looking at it, 1250, 1260, 1270, is the next big level.
Yeah, so this is what it's telling us, Bubba. What it's telling us is, okay, interest rates are going to go higher, and they're going to go higher. The Fed isn't going to, the Fed isn't going to already say all of a sudden in March say, okay, the Fed fund rate is now 5%. They're not going to do that. They're going to go up 25, 50 basis points, small amount. So what lumber is telling you is that there's going to be a scramble to buy new homes, just like there was last year, because people want to get in while the mortgage rates are still relatively low. And this spring, you should see home prices go up a lot. That's what lumber is telling us.
How come I can't sell my house?
Because it's in the wrong direction. Because what do they say? What is every
location? It's in the wrong zip code. I know.
Location. You're in the highest tax, high crime. That's not a good location.
Well, that's why I had to go learn how to shoot a gun. Anyways, lumber. Look, inflation is here, and I don't care when the CPI comes out this week and they tell you that it's whatever it is, 7.1%. Just multiply that by 3. That'll give you the true gauge of what real inflation is.
Right.
Because they're full of crap, and it's a bullshit number. Excuse me.
Yes.
Anyways, live cattle very much like feeders, a little bit still stronger. Okay, and we're still long. Look, I wouldn't be surprised to see 134. I mean, this has got a much bigger range, but right now for today, 134 to 138. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we got to remember also, corn was probing above $6. That was weighing on the feeders. The live cattle are not as sensitive to corn, so that's why they're outperforming.
Yeah, I mean, so again, you watch the trends. The trends are still up. They haven't gotten damaged. You're just not doing much. We're just kind of vacillating back and forth. Natural gas. Well, it looks like me, Andy, that we've been short natural gas since up in the 6s, and it looks to me that it may have found. Last week we talked about the consolidation range, and it looks like it has found a potential bottom.
Yes,
obviously,
yes. It's cold, so we're in January, and the weather still affects natural gas a lot. But the bottom line is, Bubba, just like in oil, if you're not going to drill and frack, it's a supportive factor for natural gas. Look, this is a wild market. It could go to $3. It could go to $7. It could go anywhere. But I believe that the lows will be higher. Don't forget, in June 2020, we went down to 143.20, the lowest price in a quarter of a century. We ain't going to see that again. Right. So, we consolidated and we popped today. Let's see if we can hold it, if we're going to make any upside moves. The last big high in natural gas, I'm talking about years, was in February 2014 when it got very, very cold. It went up to 649.30. So, let's see what happens here. But I'd say that, look, natural gas on dips, we trade with trends. But
I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow morning I send out that we're going long crude oil. I mean,
right.
Long natural gas.
Right. It's the same story as in crude oil and in coal. It really is.
Now, I don't have an official, but the levels I'd be watching are $4 to $4.40, and my buddy Billy says the timber owners never make any money because they always get screwed by the sawmills, just like the farmers get screwed by the packing plants.
Right.
What is this new? They've been stealing from everybody for years.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And the farmers also get screwed by the ABCDs.
Right. I mean, it's a crock. Okay. This is the problem. This is when you limit true free markets, it becomes a much bigger problem. Okay.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about natural gas is, in my career, I've never seen more people lose everything they had as in this market.
Right.
So when you approach this market, be very, very careful, be very disciplined, stick to the rules, because this one takes no prisoners.
It's funny because, it makes enough big moves intraday to have to be day trading. I said, look, I don't day trade this. I day traded it a couple of times. The last time I day traded natural gas was, I think I know what it was. It was October. Okay. Right here. Okay. Right here. This is when optionsellers.com went out, or no, maybe it was here. No, it wasn't 14. It was here. Okay. And when they broke everybody, okay, because they were all short calls. I go, I don't trade. This is too risky. I don't need to be involved.
Right.
High risk trades.
This is a heart attack commodity.
Yes,
it is.
Great.
But look, it's the same energy story. So you keep that in mind.
I'm with you. Orange juice, OJ continues to trend up. We're still long, and of course, this is very, very bullish action that you're seeing. And you're now coming to what I'd say is another crossroads here at about 143. Okay. Look, we're long. So that's all I can say. And to me, I would look at this. Now, this is pretty thin. So this is not something you'd want to be actively trading. But
no, a couple of years ago, we got up over 227, I think we got to. Or something
let's see. I can look at that. Yep. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, look, this thing likes to spike, and it tends to spike in the cold seasons. So, hey.
And listen, and just remember, there's some products we'll trade, and some products we'll just we'll just hold. And again, that's why if you see here, these 8 products are what I trade regularly every day, all day.
And what do they all have? Tremendous liquidity.
Liquidity and volume and action. And that's what you want looking for when you're going to be active.
And as you can notice, frozen concentrated orange juice and
Is not.
are not,
Right.
and cotton and lumber are not on that list.
And and they all open at such oddball hours, it's even worse. But anyway.
And remember this too, look, the lack of liquidity exacerbates these price moves. I mean, if lumber was a liquid market, it probably would never have gone to 1,700, and it probably would never have dipped below 450.
I'm surprised it's not a liquid market. I mean, never has been, but I'm surprised. I mean, it seems to me that would have been a pretty good.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but like the meats, like a lot of the cotton, like the coffee, it's a cartel market.
Right.
Discourages participation.
Right. I can get that. Okay. Again, I only follow it just for inflation as a platinum. Look, platinum, we don't trade anymore. We would be short.
Oh,
it's ugly.
Nauseating commodity.
I mean, again, we don't trade because there's no liquidity here, but it's ugly. Okay. I mean, for my money,
I hate to love.
Right. I mean, I bought some the other day, and I'll buy more. I mean, the stuff I'm buying.
I hate to love it because I like the fundamentals. I like the story. I like the metal. I like the whole value proposition, but I hate the trading action.
Right. Look, again, it's a value proposition potentially. Yeah. Okay. And at one time it was well over gold. Now it's well under gold. Okay. That's how a lot of people go broke in the spreading world as well, when it can't go below. And of course it does dramatically. But at the end of the day, look, I trade it. And if I was trading it right now, I'd be short, but it doesn't mean that I won't buy it physically. And as Andy says every week, he'll take the profits from the trading and buy physical with it.
Right.
Okay. In the meantime, 920 to 980. Okay. Sugar.
You're not even giving it 1,000 on the upside.
I can't believe it's been so long. I'm depressed.
Sugar's been dissolving, right?
Right. And we're short. And again, it's interesting because of the relationship that we talk about to oil
with energy. Yeah, absolutely. But now, I think, look, in sugar, 17 cents, 17.16, I think has to hold. That's the key level.
Now I could make a case. I'm not going to make the case. This is not something I would trade actively either, but I could look at this as a potential blow off today. And this could have been, or maybe the final sell off. We'll see. Again, I don't make those predictions.
I think we're closer to a low. I really do in sugar. But
if I traded this actively, I'd be a buyer right now.
Yes, I agree. And look, sugar in the soft commodities sector, sugar is the most liquid of the three.
Yeah, because it mixes right in your coffee. But I don't use sugar, so
no, it just is. It just is the most active.
Right.
It has the best volume, the best open interest. So it does trade actively, but it's been coming down for a while here. So
at the end of the day, again, it's a position we carry. Okay, from a trader standpoint, which I don't trade it, but I would be looking to be a buyer from it for a trade only, not to change direction. Mm-hmm. Silver, again, silver is pathetic, but it's got no range like gold.
Nowhere.
It's got no range.
Nowhere.
Okay, here's the last year. I mean, where do we go? We went nowhere.
In February, we made a marginally new high. We've made lower highs and lower lows since. Now we've made since September, we've made some higher lows, but silver it's just dead. It's like 21.40 to 23. It's nothing.
And we're still short. Okay. Bonds, look, not at all surprised. I showed you the chart earlier. I'm just going to show it again real quick, but today's bottom, again, I'm happy at red. I want to sell more. I do like to sell bonds. Okay. But this is when I was live trading with my guys today, my guys and gals, I should say. I want to be politically correct. I mean, I said that this is probably a buying opportunity, and bang, here it is. Again, you're going to get these kind of moves in markets, and but when I look at it on a longer,
that 153.29 level is a juicy target, Bubba.
So again,
that's back in March 2021.
from today's standpoint, I would look at probably, 155 is obviously support. There it held twice. Okay. Let's see what happens around. In my money, okay, I'd be a seller at 157. Okay. Now the banks are loving all this because they're making a fortune right now.
Yeah.
Because of the interest rates, because the threat of higher rates, even though.
By the way, do you notice that today, Jamie Dimon came out, he said, I see more than 4 rate hikes this year.
Yeah.
Right. They love that. I mean, they're
Of
talking.
course, are you kidding? That's a self, what's the word I'm looking for? Not fulfilling, but it's for them because
Self-gratifying.
the rates and make the spread wider.
Self-gratifying. Yeah.
Okay. Corn, look at this. I mean, it's going nowhere. Okay. It's between 590 and 610.
But it is a nice little.
It looks great. We're still long. I mean, look, I think corn is great. I think it looks great. And, at the end of the day, I think it's going higher, and it better go higher because of the input costs here.
Yeah, you're also going into the peak season of uncertainty in a bullish trend. Doesn't get much better than that. Remember, corn and beans
look at
highs last year in May.
Today, I do RFD on Monday and Friday, right? And they go, well, what about the beans? I go, Jesus, give them a break. They got to catch their breath.
Right.
I told you you're going to hit $14. They did.
By the way, we were below $12 and we went to 14. I mean, sell off to 13.85 is not surprising.
Right. And we're long beans. Okay. I mean, look, again, at the end of the day, 13.
By the way, the crush remains pretty strong. So that's also supportive.
Very supportive. Yeah. I'd say 1350 is the key to watching the downside. And again,
by the way, the soy meal rallied big time to over $400 a ton in Q4, and I think it's still there. I'm not sure where it is today, but that tells you animal feed is very expensive.
You got that right. Okay. And wheat, look, you're going to get a bounce. We're short wheat. Okay. You're going to get bounces.
Oil, Bubba. Keep your eye on the Russia-US talks because that's going to affect the wheat market.
I'm sure you're right.
It breaks down.
Okay. We're short wheat. So but at the end of the day, okay, I just say that, this could be, the bounce today was nice, but it was on no volume. Okay. The actual blow off type pattern, which appeared on Thursday, was potentially an opportunity to buy as a trade. Okay. In the meantime, 740 to 780 is what I'd be watching. I'd be happy to sell more at 780. Okay. So that's the way I look at it. Now, those are the base commodities that we talk about. Any last minute thoughts before we end this and go to the call part number 2?
I just think, listen, what are we? 6 days, 6 trading days into 2022.
Right.
Markets are getting their feet. So far we haven't seen any real trends emerge, but be patient. We'll see it.
Right. Okay. So in the meantime, let me stop this recording and we'll get the next one going. Yes. Hi, honey. Happy New Year. Okay. And what's up, everybody? Welcome aboard. This is the Monday Night Call. And at the end of the day, we are, had a crazy, wild reversal today. But again, you're going to get reversals. You're going to get those things because, as we have said many, many times, the most vicious rallies will come out of bear markets. And I got news for you. I think there's a real potential that we're going a lot lower. Now, again, I'm not making a prediction, nor do I make predictions, but it would not surprise me whatsoever if we saw much lower prices coming. Okay. Again, at some point, there's going to be some give here. And at some point, there's going to be, if you don't think that we can see, Happy New Year. What's up, Thomas? If you don't think we can see another 2008 or 2001 or 1987 or any of the other ones in between there, you're nuts. Okay. Because they're coming. Okay. When? Nobody knows the answer to that, but they are coming. Okay. So we can't discern when that is. We can only tell you that what our patterns are right now. And right now we're mixed. Okay. The stuff that should be weaker first, which is the NASDAQ and the Russell are, and the stronger things that are usually the last to go, the Dow and the S&P are. So we'll see. In the meantime, always interesting. Just a reminder, tomorrow the hedging class begins. I have one spot left if any of you wants it. Great, not, no worries. Listen, it's always better to be hedged, especially when you get in these times of great movement. Oh, you know what I forgot to do though, Connie? I got to do this first, right? I forget whatever I do this. I'll do this first anyways. Let me make it easy for you. Okay, and then I'll get into the rest. In the meantime, the Dow Yankee Michael, okay, which we use the Dow future. Again, we are still long the Dow future. Now it may change tonight. I don't know. Okay, this is pretty key area. This is pretty key support, which kind of became back to close on. But for my money, 35.5 support and 36,000 is some resistance now. Okay, and again, I'm going to stay long, but this could have been a potential blow off today. We'll see. Okay, but we could also get a reversal. I don't know yet, and I won't know until the middle of the night. The S&P, Echo Sierra. Okay, and again, we're still long. Look at that. Look at where it came right back to that support that held on Friday. Down big and came charging back. But again, remember, okay, that the biggest rallies come in bear markets. Okay, so right now, obviously, 46 or so is support, and I think 47 is resistance. And of course, the cap is signing South 47, so I'm sure that's right.
And also, by the way, the biggest sell-offs come during periods of bullish complacency.
Right. That's when they start. They come out of nowhere when investors are very complacent. Right. Suddenly, they show up, and it's if you remember trading places, that's not right. Well, guess what? The market is always right. Okay. And the NASDAQ, which had a hell of a move, and of course, Saturday morning, I said that if we were doing anything, I'd be looking to sell puts, but it went way below there, but look at where it came right back up to.
That has been the weakest link over the last.
Yeah. That and the Russell's actually been really weak, but 15.5 looks to be support. And again, I think that probably you're better off looking at 15.2. I'm not a buyer at all of this right now. This did nothing to change. All this to me gave me as a selling opportunity to sell more, and I would sell more at 15.7. Okay, and for my money, I'd make this 15.2 to 15.7. Okay, and the Russell, Romeo Tango Yankee, this has been brutal, and it's in a nasty downward spiral. To me, you're now looking at a potential test of 2,100, and I think that 2,200 is the resistance area. Okay, and I would be happy. I hope tomorrow morning they're at 2,200. I'll sell them. I give them to them. Okay, and we're still short. So we're long the Dow, long the S&P, short the NASDAQ, short the Russell.
Okay. We've been talking about that. We've been talking about the small caps and how government policy does nothing for the small companies.
No, they torture the small companies. That's about it.
And right now they look like small craps, right?
And the VIX, as we looked at earlier, but the VIX, it spiked to 24 this morning, and look at where we're closed. Okay, up a little bit. And again, as you know, I say this all the time. I hate when you see these major spikes, because the major spikes usually end up in fading right away. And usually it builds until you get that massive panic, and we haven't had that yet. Okay.
Today was interesting. It was, it was like you can almost see that a lot of people were talking over the weekend. Oh, the market looks terrible. Things look awful.
Oh yeah.
And it come out selling today, and then all of a sudden it dries up and it comes back to kind of unchanged at the end of the day. Kind of a typical day where you have a lot of bearish sentiment going into a weekend.
Right. I agree with you. I can see that. And of course, last year I said it's going to be a great year, and I think it's going to be a great year. I think we were off to a good start, and I think we're going to continue to roll. And this is one of the things I was referring to earlier. When doctors and nurses are quitting their jobs over a medical mandate, it's time to realize that something is seriously wrong. What do you think of that?
Oh yeah, that's ridiculous.
I mean,
Now the problem with the hospitals is not that they don't have the beds, it's that they don't have the personnel.
right. That's, you know what? That's almost a problem everywhere. There's no personnel.
Oh, I know. But when life and
I'm
death
with
is
you.
on the line, it's one thing at Popeyes or McDonald's. It's another thing at your local hospital.
No, I'm with you. I agree. Okay. But again, I don't know the right answer.
Or with your local police force.
Well, for sure. Well, but let's defund the police. Yeah. And speaking of that, as we always do, we thank our veterans and our public servants because, you guys work for no money and put your life on the line every day for us. And I don't know how anybody could ever be against that. And are there some bad ones? Yeah, there's bad everywhere. Okay. You can if you want to focus on bullshit and bad, you can always find it. Okay. But if you want to look at the bigger picture, these people are what allow us to be free or somewhat free. So I always thank you and I appreciate your service. So there will be hell to pay for decades. Okay. And I think that we've never had a real solid administration of either party, but they've always done the same thing, kind of kick the can. But to me, they're kicking the whole car down the road right now. And I think this is going to be much worse over time than past. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, the one thing that Jamie Dimon said today that I focused on, not that, more than 4 rate hikes, that's talking his own book. But what he did say is, hey, inflation is going to be a lot higher than the government and the Fed are projecting in 2022. And that goes to 2023 and the years to come. And the bill is high. The legacy of the pandemic is financial.
Right. And I agree with that. And that is a problem. The U.S. trade deficit second worst in history. Okay. Now,
is it when was it the worst?
I think during World War II.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But again, look, we're creating this mess. Now, in my opinion, it's an agenda that is being almost done on purpose because they want universal basic income. I will say that until I drop, but that's what I believe. Okay. And now this is something that I found really interesting. And of course, this is what, we always say here, life comes down to 2 things. One is always money. And of course, the complicated politics around Novak Djokovic's vaccine dispute. The Australian Open, which I don't know if it started yet or starting soon for tennis. Okay, obviously he's a big star, money drawer and the whole thing. And of course, they came out months ago saying they were going to mandate vaccines. Well, he didn't get one. Okay, but they made an exception for him. Now, why would they make an exception for him?
He flew 20 hours to Melbourne. He showed up there. They wouldn't let him in. And then there were protests. And then it went to the Australian Supreme Court and they ruled in his favor.
Yeah, so it's about money.
So does history repeat? How is our Supreme Court going to rule on the vaccine mandates? That's coming out soon. And I will tell you, they're going to strike down. This is my
I think so. I think
they're going to strike down the Biden administration's mandates.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
And of course, consumer credit, which is credit cards, revolving debt, is at all-time highs. Now, part of all-time highs is the money is just, we're in funny money, right? So, it's just like when they talk about the deficit, the bigger the number, the faster the multiplier. Okay. Yeah. But there's a lot of debt out there and it's only going to get worse. Okay. And especially when rates start to go higher, because when rates start to go higher, although the banks love it from a lending standpoint, it does start to create more defaults and more problems and worries and rents go crazy.
What are the credit card companies going to do? Raise the credit card rates from 19% to 25%?
You know what I mean? And of course,
those never came down, Bubba.
No, and you can't go bankrupt against a credit card either. No. So, this is a problem. Again, we ignore it. We're always about life is good. I get my new car every 2 years. I pay my rent, my mortgage, whatever. And at the end, all of a sudden, it becomes a problem. Okay. And of course, always led by our words of wisdom from our friend Connie, and glad she's doing well. Don't be troubled by trouble. Okay. And, there's always going to be trouble, and you can always find it. But it's not the trouble that you should be worried about. It's the solving of the problem, whatever it happens to be, of whatever you can do about it. Okay. If you have trading trouble, figure out why and fix it. Okay. Don't be troubled by the trouble, because it's always going to find you, and it will find those who are the weakest. Okay. Is it really a deficit? So many U.S. firms have funds still. Look, how do you know so many firms still have money offshore? How do you know that there's so much money in the sidelines? How do you know? Again, to me, that's a bunch of crap. Okay. I don't know. And I don't think anybody knows. I think that's it's the same as the risk on, risk off trade, in my opinion. Okay. And of course, Connie's new category, the State of the Union. But I have so much in common. Yeah, I noticed we both want to control my life. Right? We're spot on, Connie. What do you think there, brother?
I like that. That's funny. I'm just looking at this. This is very funny.
I mean, this is what we had to do. And of course, I've been bitching for an hour, but I get one more. My official bitch. Okay. And there's no free lunch. Quit looking for one. Okay. Now, over the weekend, I got, 50, 60 people told me they're going to make me billionaires. Okay. And all I got to do is do this. There ain't nothing for nothing. And if you're going to be involved in this business, you better be prepared for some tough times as well. Because I don't care what anybody writes or tells you, they're all full of crap and it's all bullshit. Okay. So as I always say, there ain't no free lunch. And so quit looking for it, because you ain't getting it. Okay. In the meantime, we do have a big game tonight, which I will give you my prediction. Right. Go ahead.
Maybe at a soup kitchen.
I give you my prediction right now. I got the PowerPoint up, and that is roll tide, baby. Me and Lee Corso. Okay.
That's exactly what I think. I think that Georgia's a great team, but I think you don't bet against Nick Saban.
And I think that Kirby Smart's a horrible coach. So, but anyways, that's my opinion. We'll see. My number one prognosticator is here. Let's see who he says. Okay. The Supremes have to strike down the mandate the United States is a country of personal choice. Otherwise, we would outlaw drinking, because drinking and driving kills. And we would outlaw fast food because, okay, that's a good point. Georgia may be the better team, but coaching has a lot to do with the sports, in my opinion. We'll see. Look, we'll know tomorrow. Either I'll be crying in my beer after I lose, or I'll be smiling.
What's the line on the game?
3. Solid 3.
Solid 3. Georgia 3.
Apple.
Georgia.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Apple. Alpha Alpha Papa Lima. Okay. And of course, we've been through some rougher period, but we're still long Apple. And again, it came right off of support. It was down hard this morning and popped right off of it. And it looks like it's in consolidation about 168 to 176, maybe 180.
I drove past the Apple store over the weekend.
Packed.
And there was ropes outside and snake lines to get in.
Amazing.
Unbelievable.
What's amazing, even more amazing? I get bagels every Sunday morning, right? For Xander makes breakfast, so I go out and get bagels. But on Christmas Eve day, I figured, I'll go a day early. I'll go early. They were lined up 100 deep getting bagels on Christmas Eve day. Mm-hmm. I can't believe it. Anyways, 168 to 176. Alpha Golf, which we have now added to one of our portfolios, and we are short. Okay, and again, I'm not always a big fan of shorting these, but we put it here as a trade to, when we get a rally in silver. It's kind of like the VXX. Some of these lesser expensive things have tremendous upside when you do get the reversal. Okay.
Beautiful. They're very, I look at these as leveraged ETFs without time decay.
Right. I agree with that. Okay. In the meantime, it's probably, we're short. It's probably 10 to 1050 right now. I mean, listen, this thing can move. As you can see, it's been, from the 20s down to $5, I believe I bought the first time. Okay. So right now, 10 to 10.50, 11. Okay. 10's a pretty key spot here. And we'll see how it reacts if and when it gets there. Okay. AMD, Alpha Michael Delta. Okay. Which we are short. Okay. And look at this. You came right down to 125-ish. Bang, popped, right? Just like, listen, everything else popped. Why would this be different? Okay. In the meantime, I would say that probably 133 would be a spot that I'd be willing to add to my position. Okay. I would look at it. I would give it a good hard look because it is in a downtrend. And this key.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say one thing with the platinum group metals, as we were talking about in the pregame. Watch their correlation with the semiconductors because, the platinum group metals are the critical input into automobile catalytic converters, and the semiconductor shortage has really weighed on that. So when these stocks start coming around, that could be just watch the two together. They should be correlated.
I agree with that. Okay. In the meantime, 120, 125 to 133. And Bravo Alpha, which I know you wrote about Charlie Munger. What did you say?
So, we were talking about that for weeks, waiting for the big announcement. And it turns out that he doubled up. He more than doubled up his position. And, listen, he's a fundamentalist and whatever, but he's not taking into account what's going on, the trend, certainly. And certainly his portfolio is vast enough that it probably is absorbing a lot of losses in this stock because it really hasn't bounced much from the lows. But the bottom line is that the 98-year-old, he expects this stock to go up. He sees value in it, and he doubled his position. He owns over 600,000 shares. That's like $78 million worth.
Georgia 9-5 against the spread. Well, okay. At Russia, Alabama, 60 yards under in Georgia. Okay, that's your call. I respect your opinion, sir. In the meantime, we're long, Baba, and for my money, it looks like probably 125 support. Okay, and then 135 or so, 140 on the upside. But it is coming nicely out. And again, if you like natural gas, this is almost the same pattern. So, but we're already long this. Okay.
And it's almost the same volatility.
Right. And Bido, Bravo, India. We have not traded this yet. It's still too new. And again, what we show some of these for are those who don't want to be involved in the actual crypto space itself, of the wallets and all the fancy stuff that goes with it. These are ways to play those markets, and this is directly correlated to futures. I'm still interested to see how they're going to perform when they get involved in some of the backwardation contango, which most ETFs screw that up. Okay, so that's what I'm more interested in seeing, because this is directly correlated to a futures. Okay, so we'll see. In the meantime, obviously there's no reason to buy it yet unless you just want to own some Bitcoin. Okay, I mean, all you're doing here is what? Catching a falling knife.
Right.
Okay. Right. Now, again, if you want to try to catch the flying knife and you're willing to take the risk, that's great. But certainly, I think there's always better levels that you get involved, even if you miss some, because I will promise you this. Those of you who can pick or think you can pick, you get it right once, you lose thousands and thousands of opportunity costs later because you think you can always get it right. Okay. If you got it right, you got a lucky stab. But again, if you want to be involved, this is one. And another one we use is BitQ, Bravo, India, Tango, Quebec. We don't have this in any portfolios either. I do own this. And again, I bought it because I wanted a bigger position in Bitcoin, but I didn't want to be in the dark world, as they say. Okay. Although I believe in the space. But to me, again, I would not be a new money buyer today unless I thought that Bitcoin was bottoming, but I'd rather buy it at 19.5 or 20 on the way back up to 35 than buy it at 18.50 and watch it go to 14. Okay. In the meantime, 18 is probably some support, but again, it's going to track. This is, as Andy calls this is Bitcoin soup, which has Mara and some of the other things that we cover in it. But again,
you know what the one thing about this, I haven't seen the bottom indicator, which is, the news, the people come out and saying, oh, it's over, it's going to zero, it's starting to see, oh, Bitcoin's going to 10,000, it's going to 5,000. Once we see that, it'll be closer to a bottom. We haven't seen that yet.
I agree with that. And then, of course, CGC, which we took out of a portfolio.
Yeah.
Now, again, we cover a couple of these pot stocks just strictly for what we've originally thought might become federal legalization, but we've come to the conclusion that they're going to wait until the big guys are ready and screw these little guys and let them, as Andy calls them, burn them out.
Yeah, the cash burn in these companies is brutal.
Right. I mean, just look at the chart. Okay. Yeah. Now, you had a nice move today. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, they're bleeding. I mean, they're definitely bleeding money. Yeah, you had a nice move today, but look at what that is in comparison to where it's been. It's nothing.
Right. Like I said, you're gonna get a bounce at you're always gonna get a bounce at some point. Okay. Yeah. In the meantime, this is not when I necessarily put levels on, but I would say $8, 8 to 10. But I'm not trading it anymore. I'm done looking for federal legalization.
Yeah, all I could say is what a difference a year makes. So a year ago today, this meeting, Bubba and I were on, and the whole market was all excited about federal legalization under the Biden administration. He's going to get sworn in a week or so, and pot was going to be legal and federal, and no more problems. And you know what?
There it is.
He didn't do it, and look at and the stocks have reflected it. And look, we've discussed it. Whether it's at the Palm or some other fancy restaurant in Washington, D.C., the lobbyists are holding up this legalization until these companies burn out and the Altrias and the bigger players can take it over and they can make all the money.
Exactly. So in the meantime, Chewy, Charlie Hotel, Whiskey Yankee, which we do carry, and we are still short. Okay, and it continues to break down. Now, they're a great company. I mean, I use them and use them, and they do a great job. But the stock doesn't care. Okay, the stock has more than halved itself since it's high.
Yeah.
Okay, and it looks like it wants to go lower. And even its recovery today was on very light volume compared to the other recoveries. For my money, I'd be looking at 51 or so as resistance. And I think if it gets below 46, you better duck. Okay. And we are still shorted. Okay. Coin, Charlie Oscar, India November, which we added in, last week into one of the portfolios. And, this is directly correlated, not necessarily, it is correlated to Bitcoin, but not necessarily directly correlated to Bitcoin. It is correlated to when Bitcoin is a bull market, the bookmakers, there's a lot more trading going on when they're going up than when they're going down.
Yeah, it's a pick and shovel play. It's a tertiary play. It should do better during a bull market and worse during a bear market. Look, critical technical support 208. Looks like we might challenge it.
Yeah, I would watch 210 to 240, a big range. But again, this trade's in a big range, so it's not like. And we are shorted here. Okay. Curl F, which is another one of these pot stocks, which, in fact, Connie, I'm going to take CGC off after tonight. Okay. In fact, I'm going to take it off right now. Okay. I'm not going to screw with it. I'll get it later. Here it is. I can get rid of it right now. Goodbye. Okay. Anyways, Curl F. Look, this is a retail play on pot. Okay. Of the retail stores. Now, all I can say is that from here, it's going to make a move either from the low 7s back up to 10, or it's going to 0. Okay. Because this is setting up in a consolidation pattern that suggests that something's going to happen, which means it'll either bounce, which I don't see it, but it could, or it's going to break down. Okay. In the meantime, like 750 or 8 to 10, we don't trade it anywhere. So it's only there for gambling purposes. Now, speaking of gambling purposes, DraftKings,
ugly.
Our 10 bagger.
Hey, you know what?
I'm not worried.
Long term, I like this company, but this has been horrible.
I had drinks with somebody right, who's in the industry, and he goes, "I think it's too bright. I think they're in trouble." I said, "Well, I said, I know what their problem is. Their acquisition cost is too high, but they just opened up in New York on Saturday. Okay. And we'll see. I mean, they didn't bounce very much, but again, we'll see. They're paying a fortune to get new customers. Okay. And of course, they're banking on the fact that the handle will go up. In the meantime, we are short this. I do personally own it, but we are short this. And to me, 25 is pretty crucial. Okay. And right now I'd say 25 to 30. Okay. But it isn't, it's certainly in a downtrend. And it certainly does not look very healthy at the moment. Okay. If your bookmaker's in this shape, you better get out. Foxtrot Alpha Sierra. Okay. Fast. Now we took that out of our portfolios because I don't really like these triple leverage ETFs. It is spiking higher. Well, actually, it was higher and came down late, which is interesting. Okay, but it did break out, and when you look at it, I would say we would still be long it, and I would say 140, and obviously the highs. So, but we no longer use it. We no longer trade it. Okay, Facebook Foxtrot Bravo, which we are unfortunately still long. No, not unfortunately, but got earnings in a couple of weeks. I mean, this is 315 or so is probably the key. It's probably 315 to 335, and it was lower on the day, even though it looks like it was higher. It's lower on the day. I would not be surprised if this reverses out tomorrow. Okay, again, I can't answer that because I don't know yet, but I would not be at all surprised. I mean, this has been pretty snarky. First Solar, Foxtrot, Sierra, Lima, Romeo, the savior of us all. Okay, the solar industry, which we are still short, by the way. It does look like 80 looks to be pretty solid support. Okay, maybe a little higher, but around 80. I mean, for me, I'm looking at this from like 80 to 87, and I certainly would have no problem selling it at 87.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, ever since Manchin has came out and won't support Build Back Better, these solar stocks haven't done well. That legislation is green, and the fact that he can't get it through is negative.
Right. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I mean, it looks horrible. I mean, it's down from 120. Okay, and at one time this was like over $300 at some point. Okay. In the meantime, to me, 80 to 87. Okay. GDX Golf Delta X-Ray, which we are long. Okay, we just added this into the metals portfolio, as we thought. 30, that area with some of support. To me, it's like 30 to 31. This is not an active banger. I mean, this is pretty steady. Now it has a much greater opportunity to run higher than to break much lower. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to go with gold. This is going to magnify gold. Again, I look at it as a leveraged ETF without time decay.
Right. So,
and I like that it diversifies the risk. So if one gold mine doesn't do so well, it's kind of a portfolio of the leading gold miners.
So like 30 to 31. Goldman Sachs, Gulf Sierra, not a surprise. Banks were higher. Not a surprise it held that support level, and not a surprise that we're also long.
And not a surprise that the interest rates go higher. They're going to make more money.
They're going to make a fortune, and they got earnings coming out. Are they Friday or Monday? I know JP Morgan is Friday for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's one of the two. Actually, I could look it up. Hold on. I'll tell you right now.
It's usually on your chart.
I actually have my earnings calendar up right here. Let's see. They come out next Monday. Okay. So obviously, probably not much you want to do here unless you're in the portfolios and you're just long it. But other than that, probably not much to do here. But in the meantime, obviously we're long, and it looks to me probably 390 support, 415 or so, some resistance. And again, it can move that easily.
And Goldman Sachs tends
the best.
They tend to beat the expectation.
They are the best by far. And of course, they were the ones who actually pulled out before the big collapse in 08 as well. So IWM, India Whiskey Michael, which we are still short. And once again, it came down to that 212, 211 level and held. I think again here for me, it's 212 or so to 218. And I would love to sell some more, although I do obviously own it in my hedging portfolio. Okay. but one thing's got nothing to do with the other. Trading and investing are not related. Okay. Mara, Michael Alpha, Romeo Alpha. Okay. I want to see if my crypto person is here. Are you, what's your story on Mara these days? We are short DraftKings, yes. We've been short DraftKings since July 31st. Okay. In the meantime, Mara looks like it's breaking down. It looks pretty pathetic. You know, when you think it was just 84 and now it's 28. Okay. And it continues. Now we don't carry this. Okay. Oh, we do now. I'm sorry. Okay. And we are short. Okay. Forgot all about it. And I made some changes. So, but in the meantime, okay, you know, it's a challenging look. It continues to want to go lower, and of course, it's directly correlated.
Higher energy prices and lower Bitcoin prices. It's an ugly pair.
Sell rips. Also, be careful. The thing will sell off with Bitcoin and Russell bad days. Thank you. I know you know. Okay, I know you trade it every day. In the meantime, you know, this looks like it's headed back to 25. To me, it's like 25 to 30 still, believe it or not. Okay. MSOS, which I think I'm going to take this off. We never traded it, and it was just a pot ETF. But since it's never going to get legalized, I'm taking it off. NEO, November India Oscar, which we do carry and trade. And of course, we are still short as well. Again, this is breaking down. Okay. Now, again, could it hold here? Sure. It could hold at 27. Okay. For my money, it looks like it's 27 to 30 or 32. Okay. Obviously, it has room to move big. Okay. It certainly does a lot of, wild swings back and forth. But if you go back and look at it, its wild swings have only ended up in from like 70 or 80 down to, we're up at 68. Okay. And now down to 28. Okay. Another electronic vehicle maker. Okay. Chinese. So in the meantime, we're still short. And I would, again, look to be, 30 to 32 would be a spot to sell it. Nugget, November Uniform Golf Tango. Okay. Which we are long. Okay. And I mean, 44 looks pretty solid.
Yeah. It's GDX times 2.
Right. Times 2 or 3.
Times 2. And this does have time decay.
Yes. And that's why we only trade it. We don't own it, because if you try to own these ETFs over long haul, you will end up busted. Okay. But in the meantime, this is like 44 to 48. Okay. And we are long it. So I wouldn't be a seller yet. Okay. Nvidia, which we are short. And again, pretty key spot right here. Okay. This is a breakdown. Now, the real key is what's it going to do here. And for me, I'd be looking at about 285 as a potential sell spot. Okay. I think obviously you can see that 255 was the support that it bounced off of today. So 255 to 285. Okay. And again, if you don't think you can move that far, all you have to do is look at the implied volatility of the options. Okay. Anybody who always wants to question on how far something can move, well, the market itself is pricing in. It's pricing in a $22 move in the next 11 days. So that's plus or minus. So again, my levels are right on spot with what's going on here. Penn, Papa Echo, November. And, again, we were short this, we took it out, but again, it looks pretty weak. And of course, I think it went to 120 at its cap. Okay. Way back when, back in here, they're at 140. Okay. It's $40. So, again, obviously the gambling stocks are not what we thought they were going to be yet. Okay. Again, I'm still a huge believer in the industry. Okay. I'm still a big believer in what they're doing and what they're trying to do, but it's going to take them a little bit more time. I think they misjudged what they can give away and their acquisition costs are. In the meantime, if you're trading it, watch 45. It's 45 to 50. Okay. The Qs, Quebec, which we are short as well. Okay. And again, this is perfect. I mean, again, 380, the 381, that's perfect. This is coming straight down. You know that you get a move straight down. What can happen, Andy?
You get to rip your face off around.
Get a spiker. Okay. So for me, I think that this is probably an opportunity to sell it. I would look at, certainly back to 384, I would certainly be a sell.
But, I think it's interesting. I think that, you got that nice rally today. It was a hell of a rally, but, it only managed to get back to unchanged.
Right. So, we'll see, okay, where it goes from here. And then, of course, Riot, which is, again, it continues to drift into oblivion.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And it's interesting that at one time Morrow was less than, and now it's more than. But again, this is another way to play the crypto space. We don't carry this in a portfolio, but it is a way if you want to play crypto. It is another way you can possibly do it, but it's expensive and the options are expensive. But again, I trade it occasionally. We carry it, and sometimes I've watched 18. To me, it's like 18 to 22. Roku, Romeo, Oscar, Kilo uniform, which we are still short, and it did break. And like I said, if it gets through 200, okay, better look out. And here we get down to about 180. And I think that probably you're looking at 200 resistance and probably around 160. Okay, as the next real support level. Okay, the SPY, Sierra Papa Yankee. Okay, which we are still long. Okay, and doesn't look as it looks bad, but not as bad as the Qs or the IWM. Now here we are at. I'm thinking probably 456 is obvious because that was a low today, and that was also a low a couple weeks ago. To me, this is like 452 to 469, 470. But again, we're long, so I'm not going to be selling this anyways until we reverse. And based on, well, we could reverse today. I don't know. We'll see. It was lower. And Square Dance, Sierra Quebec, as I said, if it got through 200, you better look out. And of course, we are still short, and it just continues to, finding some new support. Okay. But is it going to be enough to hold it? Now, this is pretty nasty. The company is a good company. They do, they're not just a Bitcoin company. They're a payment center or a payment company. And, the CEO is very good. But, remember, it doesn't matter who's behind or what it's doing. What it matters is how they doing right now. Okay. And right now, this looks like it wants to go lower. I would think that probably 150 is resistance. Okay. And, right, obviously it shows about 145 or 140 as support. Let's see what happens from there.
It's been a real tech wreck.
Yeah. Listen, and with good reason.
Yeah.
Tilray had earnings today. Oh, I must have made a fortune. They must have burned less than somebody else. But actually it was up to $8. Look, this is another one that we're probably just going to take off. This is the last of the pot stocks that we use to gamble with. Okay. But again, I don't think the gamble pays anymore right now because it's obvious for now that they're going to let these Altrias and Constellation Brands, those guys, get all the money out of these, not these little poor bastards. Okay. And Tango Quebec, which we took out as well. Okay. But it looks, pretty bad, just like the NASDAQ. Okay. And I would say probably, 148 would be some resistance. 132 is some support, but actually probably could be looking at about 132. There you go. Okay. Tesla, Tango Sierra Lima Alpha. No, had a nice big week move up early in the week, and then it came running down. Look, the bottom line is what? It's just in the middle of nowhere. It's whipping between 1,200 and 900. Okay. I don't trade it anymore. I don't cover it because, I lost enough trying to short the son of a bitch on the way up. I'll get there. Okay. Yeah. Let me finish what I got doing. Okay. And I'll get your stocks. Okay. BXX, Victor X-ray. It's got up to 21 today and it's back down. And of course, we're still short. Okay. Look, it's in the portfolios because of the long side. Okay. We make a little bit of money on the downside, but you're going to always make the big cash on when volatility does spike. Okay. In the meantime, you grind out premiums and whatever. Right now, I mean, look, I wouldn't recommend being a short seller at 20. Okay, unless you're already in and you've been in it as long as we have. I think that's a mistake. I think that, I think are we getting close to making a shot here in volatility, kid?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting close. I kind of been liking the VIX itself when it's down around 17 or so. So we got a pop here. Listen, we're both bearish on the stock market here, and if we do get the whoosh down, this is a good instrument.
If we get a big rally tomorrow and this gets down to, let's say, 17 or so,
right?
I would probably take a shot at 17.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Win, Whiskey Yankee, November. And of course, obviously they're purely dedicated to Macau. Now we are long this, but I'm assuming not for long. Okay. We'll see. Right now, 80 is support, 90 is resistance, and it's at the bottom end of the range. I would suspect that this may be a reversing overnight. Okay. I don't know yet, but again, I would suspect it. And XBI continues to break down as we've thought and talked about for the last few weeks, right? Continues to consolidate and go lower. And we'll see where it trades from here. I mean, there's probably 100. This is probably 100 to 105 right now. Okay. And then, of course, Zoom, which we took out of our portfolios, but it is breaking down as well. Okay. Which is not a major surprise. I mean, it was a pandemic stock, very much like some of the others, and it's now breaking lower. I would look at 180 to be a seller. Okay. And I think that probably, I'm not a buyer right now at any price, but 160 should provide some support. Okay. And if you have any you want me to look at real quick, I'll be happy to do so. Somebody asked about OPI, Oscar Papa India. Oscar Papa India. It looks pretty good. This must pay a pretty juicy dividend, I would bet. Okay. Considering that its range is like 23 to 28. I mean, look, this is probably some resistance, but I certainly wouldn't want to be a seller. This is certainly an uptrend. I mean, and I don't know what the dividend is, but I'm assuming it's based on it's a trust. It's a real trust. I'm assuming it's pretty big. I mean, I would have no problem with this. I mean, I don't trade it, and it's certainly not something I'd want to trade actively. Okay. Sure, I'll be happy to. Nomad, November Oscar Michael Delta. November Oscar Michael Delta. This looks pretty good too. Nomad Foods, okay. I mean, again, these are not, like when they have very narrow ranges over time, but certainly, I mean, I'd have no problem if you wanted to buy this and trade this at 25 or 26. I mean, to me, it looks like it's fine. Looks like it wants to go higher. I mean, I would say that resistance is probably going to be 27. Like I said, I don't typically trade these because if I'm going to trade them, I usually want a lot more action involved. Okay. Papa Sierra X-ray. Papa Sierra X-ray. Oh, Phillips 66.
Yeah, oil.
Are they in Venezuela?
No, that's
Citgo's in Venezuela.
That's Citgo, yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is right up at the top of the range, which should not shock anybody. Okay.
No, that's listen, energy, oil, traditional energy is the best performing sector of the stock market so far this year.
I mean, quite frankly, if I were to trade this, which I don't, but if I were, I'd be a seller for a trade, not for anything long-term, but just for a trade. Okay. But overall, it looks pretty good.
Steep, very steep.
I would love to see this come back to 80. Okay. And I would like to sell it to come back to 80, but I don't trade it, so I'm not going to start today. Okay. But it looks pretty good. Lockheed Martin, stock of the year. Could be defense stock. Lima Michael Tango. Looks pretty good. I mean, look at this. Perfect breakout from congestion to the upside, right to, what would be some resistance. And if we can break out from here, this thing could take off. Okay. Let's see here. HEI, I don't know. Is that right? Hotel Echo India. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, again, found some support way back in here, and now we're up against some resistance. But certainly, I couldn't tell you this is I certainly wouldn't be a seller here. I could only be a buyer if I was going to trade this. I mean, for me, for my money, I'd be looking about 145, 146 if I were going to get in. Okay. AEM, Alpha Echo Michael. Why do I know that symbol? That's Angico Mines, I think, right? Yeah. What do you think of mining stocks, kid?
I'd rather be in the diversified in the GDX, than that. Or if you're going to play silver mining stocks in the SIL, I like the diversification of risks. I mean, right now those markets are going nowhere, so these stocks are going nowhere.
Right, and Valley, which somebody once commented was about 13 something, now it's 14.65. Remember that? You told me about that. I bought it. There's a huge dividend.
I like all of those. I mean, I like the whole picky. I like the Valley. I like the Glencores. I like the BHPs. The bottom line is these prices are elevated and they're making hand over fist money.
My buddy in New York gave me this one. He said it was going to the toilet. I said, okay, I got to buy it then. Anyways, CVR, Charlie Victor Romeo. Charlie Victor Romeo. For too thin for me. Okay, this don't trade. I have no interest in whatever this is. But in the meantime, other than a spike up, it goes nowhere. Okay, so I don't know what they do. I don't care. When I see this kind of volume, I got no interest whatsoever. Okay, IVZ. I'm gonna assume this is going to be similar. India Victor Zulu. A little better. Okay. I mean, Invesco. I mean, it looks fine. Okay. I'm assuming it's got a big dividend. I mean, it's kind of mid-range, right? It's kind of meeting to a point where it's going to make a much bigger move. Let's see here. Cat's got earnings, I know, in the next week or so. So I'd be careful in there. It looks great. I mean, it's going to look great because of the grain markets and the farming products. So I mean, this is
infrastructure, everything. It's got everything going for it.
I mean, it looks like it wants to go higher, but it does have earnings, I think, in a week or two.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd be careful, but listen, it's going to the moon. Okay. If I were looking at it without earnings, I'd like to buy it at 220. Okay. And Schlumberger, the slob, I used to trade that on the floor. It was one of the first stocks I ever traded, the slob. I mean, again, oil flying. Okay, but this stock doesn't. This is another one that I wouldn't trade myself. I would own it if I wanted to own it, but it didn't go anywhere. I mean, it still doesn't. It never went anywhere, even back in 1980, and it still doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, you're right. It's a
dividend payer.
Oil services are rough.
Okay, and the last one, last two, RSG, Romeo Sierra Golf. This is pretty much in consolidation. I mean, certainly I wouldn't be a buyer, although I can see some support about 130.
What is this, waste?
What is this?
I think it's waste, right?
I don't know. Okay. I have no idea what they're. I don't, half the things I trade, I don't have any idea what they are. I just can trade the pattern. To me, I'd look at this, but I'd wait. I mean, I'd rather buy this. Like, this is one I'd rather buy at 135 on the way up than try to pick it at 130 and watch it go down to 110. Okay. They are like waste. Okay. They are like waste. What's up, Rip? Anyways, and net, November Echo Tango. Wait.
Another
Cloudflare.
Special.
Yeah, remember when that was a hot property? It only got cut in half.
Tech Rec. Hey, take a quick look at Salesforce.
Was that CRM, right? All right, well, let me finish this one first. So
when you're done.
I'm not a buyer here for sure. I'd be a seller at 130 though, or 125. Probably 125. I'd be a seller. Okay, I don't trade it, but okay. And CRM, which I used to trade, Charlie Romeo Michael. Yeah, same thing. I hope they go to zero.
Yeah,
they screwed me.
It's the Tech Rec.
They screwed me. I hope they go to zero.
Right, Tech Rec.
Glassworks, Jesus, I haven't heard that name. That's the other one I used to trade. That was in the same pit with the last one. Glassworks, Golf Lima Whiskey. Another one is McCormick. They don't move either. Okay, these are nothing stocks. I would never trade these. I wouldn't mind owning them. okay, for long term, but I'm never going to trade it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they're just not tradable.
Those are parking lots for assets.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, kid, look, Andy and I agree that we have a market that could be in turmoil. And again, we're not predicting. We're, in fact, I disclose every position that we have. Okay. But I do see from my trading views that this could get ugly. And for my money right now, if we gap higher tomorrow morning, I promise I'm going to be selling. Okay. Now, again, I may be wrong. Okay. But what are you doing on your YouTube, young man? I know I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to get out. Okay. But again, I will be willing to sell under certain circumstances. And of course, those of you who trade me in the morning, we'll see. And to all of you, have a great night. Andy, thanks as always.
Thank you.
And everybody have a great week. And just be careful. Look, whatever you do, be careful. Okay. And go tide. Roll tide, baby. Roll tide. We'll see y'all. I'll see y'all next week. Except hedging starts tomorrow for you hedgers, all of you, whether you've been to class before or not. Hedging is tomorrow night. Adios, everybody.